Hello and welcome. What the fuck? We'll just restart that. Blip, 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 blip. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Three's a Crime, a true crime podcast. I'm Tori.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Lindsey.
And that's our intro.
Here we are professional podcasters.
We're podcasters, bitches.
Hi, guys. Welcome back.
Hi.
Welcome to our Patreon episode for September 2021.
Yeah.
Joining us today is
Gooey.
He's a little goo dog. My little boy.
It's raining hella hard here.
Yeah.
So maybe you're settling in to take a nap. We'll just have this nice ambiance behind us while we talk about death.
Yay. I want to say thank you to Trisha for the idea.
Tricia.
Thank you, I
Trisha,
love
who's
you.
one of our Patreons.
She is.
So, Lindsey, last night you had texted us and told us
In
that
very dramatic terms.
fashion,
Yeah.
that you had been visited by someone or
Something.
something. So I think we should start the story with that story.
Okay, so I think I was alone. I was alone downstairs. It was late at night-ish. And I'm just typing up my book report. And I just kind of feel kind of a whoosh and then like somebody pressing into me back here.
Ooh.
And then everything, like all my hair stood on end. And I just sat there and I said, I was trying to figure out like, what are you doing? And I couldn't get it off. So I was like, Mom, I need help. Tell me what to do. My mom said that it was the Vampire Bros. She doesn't listen. She goes, it's the Vampire Bros. I said, what? I haven't done that yet. I mean, like, I've already done that. I'm doing the Suicide Forest. She's like, no. And I said, oh, we released the episode.
So Trisha told you to do this? Why?
Trisha, well, I was like, God, what should I do? And she goes, do the Suicide Forest because I want to know about it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and then I was like, that's a great idea, Trisha. And there's a quote-unquote horror movie called The Forest. Watched about 40 minutes of it. It's fucking awful.
Oh! You only watched 40 minutes of it.
I was so bored. I was not... It's like the girl from Game of Thrones who was supposed to marry the asshole kid.
She was supposed to marry Joffrey.
She's got the red-ass grandma.
Her name is...
Oh, that grandma is who I want to be when I grow up.
Tell Cersei it was me.
Yeah.
That
seriously.
scene was the best scene in all of Game of Thrones, even though that season was a shit show.
Yeah.
Marjorie.
So the actress plays twins and the smart,
She's got Disney.
classy. Would you let me tell what I'm saying? Anywho, okay, so she plays twins, and the twin that's lost in the forest is like the bad twin. She's got like the brown hair with all the eyeliner and black nail polish. That's how they make her the rebel.
Of course.
And then the other one is blonde and beautiful and perfect.
Why is it a bad movie? Is it bad acting?
It's bad. It's badly edited. It's badly written. It's boring as fuck. Okay, here we go.
I'm listening to you.
Okay, bear with me, everybody. It's Japanese, and there's a lot of things that I like tried to Google to make sure I said it right. I'm white. I'm sorry. At the base of Mount Fuji in Japan is a beautiful green forest. This forest has many names. The Demon Forest.
Yikes.
Black Forest of Death.
Black Forest ham.
And the one that is used most often is Suicide Forest. And it is called Aokigahara. The Aokigahara Forest is the most popular suicide destination in Japan. In 2003, there were 105 bodies found there that were said to be suicides.
I feel like we shouldn't call it the suicide destination. I mean, it makes it sound like
a vacation spot.
Yeah, like
Well,
do
it
they
is
have
where people take trips to go die.
Oh, so
there's
they intend to do
They
that.
intend
yeah.
to kill themselves. In 2010, Japanese police said more than 200 people attempted suicide there, with 54 who completed the act. Recently, officials have stopped putting out the numbers of suicides publicly in the area to distance themselves from the reputation.
Well, I think you'd want to, discourage people.
So how did this hellscape of luscious trees come to be? I'll tell you. So in 864, Mount Fuji erupted, spilling lava all about itself. And then nature doing the naturing it does, it resulted in a forest that grew over the dried lava.
Oh, wow. That's
So-
kind of cool.
That is cool.
It is really cool. The lava also formed caves below the forest floor. And the ones that are allowed to be explored are by the public are the Ice Cave, Wind Cave, and the Bat Cave.
The Bat
Cave.
I want to go to the Bat Cave.
Of course you do.
So I found pictures too, so I'll put that on the Instagram. The forest is also called Jukai, which means Sea of Trees. And
That's pretty.
Yeah.
Aokigahara is Blue Tree Meadow in English.
Oh, that's pretty too.
So I'm going to call it BT, Blue Tree. So I don't
BT
butcher
Meadow.
the beautiful Japanese language, more than I probably will. Okay, so when you're looking at the forest from halfway up on Mount Fuji, all you can see is a beautiful sea of green, which is green all year long. Jukai is 12 square miles in size, and the lava rock below the foliage also absorbs sound. So this makes it more eerie. In there with the sound absorbed by the lava. So it's like...
Right, like eerily
It's not like
quiet.
a normal forest.
Right.
It makes me think of when you go like those. There was like a torture technique where you'd like lock people in a sound where it's so quiet that you can hear like your blood moving in your veins and shit. I mean, obviously,
Like a
it's not
sensory
like that.
deprivation.
Yeah, sensory deprivation. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It would be crazy to be standing in the forest and essentially not hear
Anything.
Yeah, because there's also, I was about to say, there's barely any wildlife. in the
Oh,
forest.
that's
makes
creepy.
my tummy like
Feel weird.
yeah.
Yeah, makes it more creepy. And I've watched as many videos as possible that I can find, and it's always super quiet. But there's a Vice doc that adds fucking bird noise to it.
Oh,
Because I can,
Like
I've
it was
watched...
so empty that they had to add noise so that
Yeah.
we all wouldn't freak out just
Pretty
watching
much.
it. Wow.
I was like, these are not real bird noises, because it's just the same ones you hear in every single fucking
right.
movie and show that uses it. So that gives it the forest a creepier vibe, and it's already fucking creepy. And there's also so much of the forest that hasn't been investigated. It's like the ocean, the deep ocean kind of unknown.
God.
But on land.
So the forest is super fucking dense, and the majority of the floor is covered in fallen trees, branches, dead plant stuff, leaves, and overgrown shrubs and moss. So it's not easy to walk in. either.
Right.
It's so fucking dense that certain parts of the forest are totally dark by midday.
Wow. By midday?
Yeah, it creates like that, like in a rainforest, how it
Right,
creates
yeah.
that kind of a roof.
The last hike that I went on actually had that, and I had never
Ooh.
seen it before. And Brittany was like, "Look over there, it's dark," and I was like, and it was like a hole in the ground. It was so with trees. It was like black,
It's
and it was like
wild.
10:00 in the morning, and I was like, that is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen. Like looking at pictures of the suicide forest, it just looks so thick and like
It does. It does not look. It looks unforgiving.
my God, you'd probably have shelter just standing in it because of how many trees are on top of you.
Totally.
Rain? No problem. You have a
pretty
roof.
much.
Trees.
People have said that being in the forest gives you a sense of claustrophobia and isolation. You feel like you're cut off from the world, and it's very easy to get lost in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because it sounds like, and I really hope what I'm about to say isn't insensitive, but it almost sounds like that the forest itself could drive you to suicide.
Yeah.
Yes. That's part of it.
I was gonna say, are you gonna say that later?
Yep. This fucking bitch. The forest is notorious for fucking with the electronics, and people have said that their compasses don't work either. So the lava that originally created the forest is high in iron content, creating a strong magnetic activity. So which it affects compasses and phones and shit.
Sounds like Lost.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
nightmare
it does sound like Lost.
hellscape. So it's like all these fucking ingredients sound like the worst anxiety-driven, soul-sucking,
Yeah.
fucking nature.
Like this
to me.
beautiful place.
Yeah. So to get a better handle on why this place is so heavy on the suicide, we shall go to the history time books. I sound like Tom Hardy. I feel like, you know how we could go like this, but British. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so I read a little baby book that I found about this. It was very helpful.
Is that the one with the guy with the weird teeth? Remember you sent us the picture of the guy with the teeth?
Oh my
And
god,
then they were like white out
Oh,
with corrected teeth.
teeth. That was
Yes, and
horrifying.
You were like,
Yes,
how bad
yes.
is this guy's?
Oh, I forgot about that. God damn.
Whoever was doing the Photoshop.
The editing job is quite funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Not making fun
I'm
of
not
him.
shaming the editor, but like, come on.
No,
dude.
we're shaming the editor.
Okay,
We're
we
just
do.
not shaming
Very,
the author.
like-
So there's this quote from the book that explains kind of how the forest came to be the suicide forest. This quote, the legend of BT goes a lot further than simply
BT.
being alluring scenery for suicide. Its lore is rooted in ancient legend, literature, and historical association with death. And Japanese officials try to keep their distance from this reputation, and they don't want to talk about it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Okay. So in the way back time, there are legends of the Ubasut.
I love that you spelled it phonetically. Ubasut.
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 This is when you abandon your elders on a mountain far away, or you take them to the BT forest
And you just
to
leave
die.
them? Mariko and Axel gonna need to know if that's like. Please tell me you don't do that with your elders.
Like, you
Well,
just.
and Shun. I have a lot of I have a lot of actual Japanese friends. I have a lot of friends who are Japanese that still live in Japan.
So Ubasut literally translates to abandoning an old woman.
Oh my god.
I died when I saw that. I
What
was like,
an
God
original
damn.
thought. My
Oof.
god.
Ubasut.
And there's like, you know, how they did the old samurai kind of like paintings and stuff.
Mhm.
And there's
Yeah.
a man with his mother on his back, and he's like walking to a mountain.
Oh my god.
So I've read conflicting things about Ubasut. Some sources say that it's just legends and stories from long ago. Others say it really did happen. So they pretty much just released them into the wild when things were extremely tough. When there wasn't enough food for everyone in the family, they believed that this was a necessary evil to keep the youngins alive.
So it's like you've already had a good life. Go
This was
sit in
an
the
honorable
forest.
thing to do.
That's what like wolves do, right? Is like they sacrifice, like
Penguins-
they'll leave your ass behind.
No, penguins do that.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, like remember in March of the Penguins, which is like
I've never
one of the
seen
saddest
that.
things I think I've ever watched in my
Dad
life was
loves
this.
that movie.
Is that like when the penguins are old and they're making that huge trek across Antarctica, the old ones will just go and wander off.
And die somewhere.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch oh, for fuck's sake. I literally just had it. March of the Penguin. It was really important. No, it was really good, Emily.
I like how you can see it happening in your brain.
I know you watch it and it's
March
just
of
like
the Penguins, Morgan Freeman. What did you say about it? They leave them to die.
no, they wander off to die alone.
It'll come
Okay.
to you when I'm in the middle of
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. That was annoying. I had something really good.
Back in the elder days of samurais.
Oh! Midsummer.
Midsummer!
Oh my
Oh,
god.
I
That's
thought it was
yeah.
the same fucking thing.
yeah,
when they
I'm like, okay.
jump up.
Spoiler alert,
Like,
if you have not
skip
seen it.
right now if you haven't
Skip
seen
it.
it. But that's
I-
the first
it's a
what the
little-
fuck
When
moment.
Yeah.
when I was reading this, I was like, oh my god, this is Midsummer when they fucking kill the old people.
Oh my god.
I mean, technically the old people go up of their own volition and swim.
I
Yeah,
just
so
remember
off.
thinking
So do
that
they.
Yeah,
that
right.
movie was so boring in the beginning. That's what I thought was like, oh my god, this is like dragging on. And then they're just like, "Pew!" And it was like,
Yeah, when it was just like, and they showed it, I was like, we're
I
on
couldn't
for
happen.
this.
The old man who was still alive, and then they're like,
Oh,
"Okay,
yeah.
better get out the
I
giant
forgot about
hammer."
that. The
It's a
girl with the
lot.
tube taped to her face
Oh.
fucks me up so hard. It
Did you
makes-
know plants and shit are moving in the background of that movie?
The plants
Yes.
are moving.
The
I have
plants are
noticed
moving,
that.
and there's faces in the
Yeah.
background.
When I saw it in the theater, I was like, oh my God, there's like
Yeah,
faces kind of
all
in
the
background.
plants will, like, when they're on her head, will literally be like moving. And
They
if you,
start
because they're supposed to
swirling.
be, oh yeah, pull it up, because they're supposed to be on drugs the whole time.
So part of the honor code of the samurai is a ritual called seppuku, and this ritual is a form of suicide by taking their short sword and running it across their abdomen.
Oh,
This was done in front of a crowd of people. Basically, you disembowel yourself to retain your honor, especially if you fall into the hands of the enemy.
Oh
No,
yeah,
thank
that
you.
is what they do. Yeah, samurais.
And during World War II, this is also practiced by some Japanese people to restore honor for themselves or their families.
Oh, like if they did something they weren't supposed to do.
So we have throwing your grandma off the train into the forest to die horribly, and then samurais not dealing with that torture shit and ending it right there, adding just these two ingredients into your fucking bran muffin recipe is gonna kill that butthole. And kill and or fuck with any other butthole that enters BT. I don't know. This just came out of me. So, and all of these actions leave an energy residue. And if you can't fucking stage it properly without ventilation, it'll never get clean. So some say that, quote, the woodland and soil itself has been infused with demonic energy, which creates paranormal activity and psychological manipulation inside the souls of the forest visitors.
Ooh.
Whether they harbor suicidal tendencies or not, once you're inside BT, something doesn't want you to leave. So before I go into more of the forest and the wild shit show energy vibe, we must learn about Japan's culture concerning suicide. Suicide is viewed very differently in Japan than it here in the US. So as I told you earlier, it's been historically known as an honorable action. And if I'm totally wrong on any of this, please tell me. And I tried to research as much as I could about this. Christianity has no history in Japan as its main foundation, so suicide isn't viewed through the religious lens like Christianity and Catholicism, like here in the US. So Japan is very much a culture of no outwardly complaining and to never be a burden
Right.
to your fellow person in society. It's a very rule-oriented society. You're molded to be a productive part of society and to never be a burden. Never being a burden is very, very important. And mental illness is seen more as a character flaw or something wrong with their personality. Okay, so from what I was reading, showing emotions like anger, depression, intense sadness isn't very welcome. I think it's gotten a little bit better with time, but it's still a big issue there. Mm-hmm. And then you add technology into this shit, like here in the US, it can be very isolating. There's a condition in Japan called hikikomori, and it's where someone completely withdraws from their friends, family, and especially society. They completely shut themselves off, and they're often males, and they just like kind of hermit in their room. So to me, it sounds like all the emotions that they don't know how to address creates another muffin recipe.
We all know how mental health is important.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, like you can push that stuff down for so long until your body can't anymore.
Yeah.
But think about how many people had to do that in order for them to come up with a word for it.
Exactly. In 2019, Japan had the second highest suicide rate among the developed nations.
I mean, if you have no place to talk about it.
Although monthly suicide rates in Japan went up 16% between July and October of 2020, which that's attributed to COVID.
Yeah.
But 70% of the suicides in Japan are male and is the leading cause of death in men 20 to 44 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's wild.
Like that's the leading cause of death. You would think
in someone 22 to 40? 20 to 40?
20 to 44.
Wow.
I saw another article when I was researching that men don't want to get married. They're not having sexual feelings. They don't want to get married, have kids, job.
The traditional thing.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think Japan is conducive for that. Right now,
Mhm.
it's still in the same pattern.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
Mhm.
so any kind of mental illness is not spoken about, and it's very taboo.
That's hard.
Any person suffering from mental health issues is scared to even talk to anyone about it. On top of that, there's also a short of psychiatrists in Japan.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if nobody's going to come to see you,
Yeah, seriously,
you're not
there's
going to
no
have a
money,
viable business.
There's no income there.
right.
Yeah, they don't have a system like we do where you go to your counselor and then your therapist works with the psychiatrist to see if meds
Right.
will help that person and to get them the proper kind of medication and dosage.
Right.
They also don't have a government mandated program to train psychologists. So anyone could be.
So I could
A
just like
psychiatrist,
be like,
right?
I'm a psychiatrist.
Yeah. So that alone is fucking crapshoot when you need services like that. So the two biggest factors for suicides in Japan are loneliness and money issues. A lot of elders who have been abandoned by their families are in financial trouble will commit suicide. They feel like that's the most loving thing they could do for their families to take their life and in this way provide for their family because
Because they're
one
taking
less
away
mouth
their
to feed.
Yeah, the burden of
What
them.
a crazy, like, I had never even heard that's a thing that is wild how vastly different that is.
It was really interesting to read how it's so completely different.
Oh my
how their
gosh.
society is not built on it was just
Well,
where you take care of your elders.
People who think that here suicide is selfish versus there where apparently it's the opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
such
it's considered a
it's
like
selfish
gift.
here,
It's
you're
a
gonna go to
gift.
hell. It's like
Yeah.
yeah, your soul is just gonna be fucking
it's
lost
so
in the
wild the
ether somewhere.
how black and white.
Okay.
So by committing suicide in the forest, it isn't an inconvenience to the family or society. Like if someone steps in front of a bus, this traumatizes tons of people and creates chaos.
It's the most silent way to take care of.
So by them going to the forest, this shows to your family and friends that they did the best they could and didn't want to burden them.
I am shook over this. I don't know why.
It's very
It's just so different.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my brain around it.
Yeah. When you go to BT to hike, as most do to enjoy the nature, you're greeted at all entrances with signs discouraging suicide attempts. Quote, your life is precious. Your life is a precious gift from your parents. Please think about your parents, siblings, and children. Don't keep it to yourself. Talk about your troubles. And then it ends with a phone number for suicide prevention.
Okay, I mean, wow, that is really a sad thing to see.
At every entrance.
I just can't believe this place exists.
It's just, but it's like, I'm glad that they have that up there. But it makes me sad that it almost seems like a hollow thing.
Yeah.
When the culture is telling them that is what they should do, and then you walk by and there's a sign that's like, hey, so
Here's
please
a
don't do
1-800
it.
number.
Here's a 1-800 number. And then who's manning that phone line if there aren't actual people to help with mental health? And if they didn't reach out to somebody at that point or feel comfortable reaching out to anyone because of the culture, is that sign gonna help? I mean, maybe it does. And I
mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt. We should do something, so this is what we're gonna do. It's a bummer no matter how you cut it.
It is a bummer. I'm like, and maybe you're gonna get to that. I hope the government is doing more to change the culture, not just put up signs. No. All right.
So the locals who live around that area are told as children that it's scary not to go in there. And in the documentary I watched, they follow a geologist, Zusa Hayano. I don't know if I said, I'm sorry. He has lived in the area of the forest for 30 years because part of his job is, quote, mainly environmental protection. So he mainly studies volcanic eruptions and the plate life at the foot of Mount Fuji. And he often goes on suicide patrols through the forest to clean up
bodies.
He finds bodies to get them back to their families.
Oh, this whole thing just seems like it could be solved if communication was like a thing. Like, I feel like the amount of things that are happening because things are frowned upon or whatever, or they're just trying to get people back. But like it just
It is really
I'm mad.
But then again, I also am we are coming from this from a place of our culture. And I don't want to, even though I feel like there are lives that are being lost that needlessly, I don't want to push my culture onto do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to sit here and be like, well, that government should be doing more and they should run, because it's not my culture. It's not a culture that I understand. It's not a culture I've grown up with, and I'm not saying it's wrong or right.
It just is.
It just is
different.
Yeah, it just is different, and so I want to be kind of careful and respectful of, like, this is a different culture with different beliefs.
So there's a main trail that visitors can use to hike in the forest, but there's a spot where you're not allowed to go any further. So he goes past this barrier to work. This man is a fucking saint. He is amazing.
I just can't.
He's found over 100 bodies that were suicides in the 20 years of living and working there of the 30 years he lived there.
Are they predominantly like hangings, or do people take like weapons or? All right, sorry.
When people are still struggling with the decision of suicide, they'll bring a rope or a ribbon and wrap it around the trees to make sure they have a way out just in case. So it's like they take it with them.
Like a Hansel and Gretel.
To make a path.
If they change their mind when they get there, they have a way to get out.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. In the documentary, in their truck, they end up finding this super fucking creepy stuffed doll nailed to a tree upside down.
Oh, no, I don't like that. No,
it was nailed in the feet and hands with the stuffing coming out of the face and torso. It's super fucking creepy. It looks like this weird Mickey Mouse.
Sounds like
there a picture?
Blair Witchy. No, here's the doll.
No.
So, like, there's the hand. Yeah.
No.
As I'm going to call him as, he explained that the fact that the doll is upside down and nailed is the person's contempt for society and is kind of like a curse in a way for how they felt they were treated by society.
Is that like whoever did it, that's what they meant, or that's what that area of the forest represents?
That person being
making
angry.
A statement. Got it.
Yeah. They also found a piece of wood with a suicide note nailed to the other tree, and it said, quote, "Suicide note, their name. I came here because nothing good ever happened in my life. Don't look for me."
Oh, that is like this. Oh, that's sad.
As thinks that it's the same person who did the doll. They have the same nails. It looks the same. And they also found a rope and a makeshift noose.
My little empath heart is having a really hard time with this story.
Yeah.
My black soul is just fine. It's just a sad. I can't imagine going there.
I can't imagine.
Just to like visit.
Just to see what it looks like and feels like. I just would love to go and stand in it and see what it feels like. Tori will stay home.
I am the absolute opposite. The only reason that I would want to be in there is to stop someone from what they're about to, like, that to me, just for somebody to feel like, okay,
don't look for me, nothing good ever happened.
Yeah, like I can kind of understand the older people, and like they feel like they're going in with noble intention. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I don't necessarily agree with that, but I understand it in a way that I'm like, okay. But somebody that is going to do that because they feel that alone, they feel that sad, and like
nothing good has ever happened to me.
Right. Like
that sentence is
so
heavy.
Penetrates the heart. Oh.
So the rope was cut, and he thinks the body was found and was cut down. Mm. So he also found a compact mirror, an umbrella, a map, and a book about the Jukai and how to commit suicide in the forest.
I feel like there should not, like, whoever's publishing that book, you're an asshole.
So most people who came to the forest to die do it by hanging or sleeping pills. But he says that the pills don't really work most of the time, and it takes a day for them to die from weakness. During this particular patrol, they found a skeleton that was about 1 to 2 years old laying on the ground.
The skeleton was 1 to 2 years old?
Yeah.
Like it had been out there for...
The hanging rope was still on the tree branch, and the body had the clothes on still. The environment of the forest is not when you go and camping for a week. It has harsh conditions, and so that's why the body will decompose quicker.
Right.
They blur him in the dock, but then parts they forget to. So you can
I think I saw that in the one picture.
You can see
like his legs.
They show the legs and the feet. They show the shoes. They're like brand new shoes.
I want to see that.
See, this is one way in which you and I are complete opposites. I don't I don't know. That was a person. That was that was
Don't get me wrong. I don't know that I would feel that way if it was in person.
I feel like you are just more curious about the
anatomy
and the basics.
I have to see it.
And you want
yours comes from like a scientific kind of curiosity, not a morbid curiosity, but I do not have that curiosity.
So back to the book, people will bring in tents as well when they're unsure if they truly want to commit suicide. And from the book, reporter Ramu Murata says, quote, people will hibernate in their vehicles or tents if they've arrived at their destination but are still hesitant to go through with the act. I imagine it takes a lot of courage to end your own life.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that was like, oh, fuck. So the reporter from this book, he's been to the forest over 30 times and says that he has seen some really fucked up and disturbing sights in his time of visiting the forest. Like, he said once he found an abandoned truck deep inside the forest, but no body. It looked like someone did live in it for some time, and the truck was surrounded by wooden Buddha statues and pictures of their god. There are no roads that lead into the forest. You cannot drive into the forest. So,
weird.
How the fuck did that truck get there? This guy is like, how the fuck is this here?
Aliens.
Maybe they were returning. Because, they could suck up the whole thing.
They did some fourth kind, and then just drop
it. They're done with it.
Go ahead.
The fact that there's a truck in this crazy...
Yeah, how did it get there?
Abandoned vehicles are very common to find, but on the outside of the park. So if you see one covered in snow or leaves and dirt, it's obvious that an owner never came back to their car. And they show that in the Vice doc.
It looks like all the cars on the Avery property.
Oh.
Right?
And that Avery?
Stephen Avery. Making a murder.
I've tried 5 times.
Actually, I did the same thing. I stopped watching it, and then everyone said how great it was, so I watched it again. Then I only finished it because
I just couldn't.
I watched the first one. I didn't get all the way through the second one.
They kind of zoomed into the car, and on the passenger seat is a map, nicely folded, and then there's shoes.
That's another thing that gets my brain is like images of Chernobyl that have classrooms that were just left and there's a ruler that's still on the table, or Bryce Les Pisa who
right.
It just the last things that happened before you just kind of disappeared is
in the Pompeii people that turned into soot but are
still there frozen.
You're just
it's your
last moments.
It's mind-blowing.
The Dyatlov people.
The Dyatlov people.
God.
It all comes back around.
It's the 2 stories that we covered
there
that drive me the craziest are Dyatlov and Phoebe Hanchek.
That is a good one.
Sorry.
Those are Emily's stories.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My brain, because you're the one that does the unsolves, and my brain is gotta figure it out.
I'm always excited when you do the unsolves, because then I gotta hear her go, but wait, all the things makes me I like it. So now we're gonna get spooky. So the forest is considered the most haunted location in Japan. The Japanese view life and death much differently than we do. Their faith is called Shinto. I say that right. And they don't have a heaven or hell. So when a person dies, their soul enters a kind of purgatory. Their funeral must have the proper rites performed so the soul can go to their ancestors and become a protected spirit. So if someone dies suddenly or is murdered in a weird way, the spirit then becomes a Yuri. Yuri. You can also become a Yuri if you're buried without the proper rites, and if this person was severely depressed and angry before their death.
So do they stay trapped on Earth as an angry spirit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So since so many people go in and commit suicide in there, they never have the proper burial. It's believed that BT is the most Yuri-filled location. So because of this, there are tons and lots of ghost sightings.
Tons and lots.
And weird shit. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it makes absolute sense.
Good. There are...
good.
I had to like fix it right after Malignant. We saw Malignant, so I was in another
dimension.
Definitely a different mindset.
Yeah. So there are stories of an entity called the Hangman. He's a big spooky legend in the forest. It's said that if you see this apparition, it will manipulate you to hang yourself.
Nope.
There's a trail in the forest called the Hangman's Trail. And this area was the site of 9 foreigners who had hung themselves over the years. All of them are males.
So, are there people from other cultures coming to commit suicide there?
All of them are considered tourists by authorities, and it looks like with their possessions and deaths, it shows that they were just visiting and not on a mission to commit suicide.
But they decided to commit suicide once they were in the forest because the forest makes you...
So 9 dudes took their lives in this one area.
9?
9
Holy
foreigners.
Shit.
And it was like...
Were they together? Or was it 9 separate foreigners?
With time.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I didn't know. Was it like a group?
Like a Dyatlov situation all over again.
Yeah, like a group of 9 just suddenly all end up dead.
After all of this shit, more shit gets wild. In 1960, there was a Japanese book called Nami no Tu. Translated to Tower of Waves. This book was never translated for the Western world and has suppressed so it doesn't continue to romanticize suicide.
Right.
Spoiler! It's about a woman who's stuck in a scandalous affair and she goes to the forest to commit suicide. In the end, the suicide is portrayed as beautiful and a peaceful end. So this does not deter people from doing the same thing.
Right.
In the forest. In 1993, a quote, self-help book was released.
Okay.
Selling over 1 million copies called The Complete Suicide Manual.
What the fuck?
Let me tell you. There are 11 different categories of methods to commit suicide in the book. This book originally was created to educate others on why people take their lives and that suicide victims are just victims themselves.
Okay, so not
But this book worked in the opposite way.
Oh, no.
So here's a quote. It's useless to say life is dull and boring. We are all unlucky. We were born on the stage of past events. We will wake at 7 a.m., either going to work or school afterwards. We will repeat this pointless speeches. At work, we keep saying senseless things while we keep on working over different senseless projects for a few weeks, a few months, a few years.
That's how I feel
After we switch off the TV, it will be just another ordinary day. Jesus fucking Christ, no wonder it's used as a manual.
This is such a bummer story, man. It's just like bringing me
I know.
Way down.
Like,
Trisha just couldn't love you.
Why is it? Yeah, this story is way worse than the like murder stories we do.
Because it's people. Someone taking someone else's life is one thing.
Well, yeah, because you can get mad at that person.
Well, and like there's the crazy things that make like what makes a murderer a murderer. Like, why do you just go out and annihilate a family of 6 people?
That to me is I have that curiosity.
Yeah, this is just makes my heart sad. Like, it just makes my body sad for...
Oh, you are a little empath.
It just... Ugh.
Yeah.
It's an ugh.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
So this book and the Tower of Waves book are 2 of the most popular items that are found by foresty workers. Workers in the aftermath of suicide. So many workers do sweeps through the forest to clean up items that have been left behind by the suicides.
Get that job.
They usually find teddy bears, diaries, family photographs, jewelry, alcohol bottles, clothes, things that were precious to the victim.
Like, that is just makes me sick.
Quote, people
sick
now
in a sad
go
way.
to the forest and emulate the death of the lead character in the Tower book. It has a reputation as a gateway to death, establishing itself even further, cementing its synonymy with suicide for the modern age.
I don't like it.
There's an ambulance in the background. Sorry.
Are you both playing the same game?
Yeah.
That's cute.
Oh, we are?
These girls can focus better when they're doing stuff.
We have to fidget.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a spooky story for you.
Okay.
Ready.
In Japanese folklore, there's a supernatural figure associated with death called Shinigami. In the U.S., the Grim Reaper is the figure that's used for death, and it's meant to be feared. In Japan, I just shortened it to Shin, is more of a natural part of the cycle of life. They're considered like helpers to give someone a smooth transition into afterlife. There are some paranormal investigators. Wow, there are some paranormal who believe that the forest is a sanctuary and a home for all the shins who exist on Earth. There are tons of sightings of the Shinigami in the forest. There's one case in 2009 of an American couple, Chris and Dawn, believed to have seen a shin. So Dawn is believed to have committed suicide in the forest, but Chris has a different story. He has suffered from schizophrenia that would erupt during stressful times. The story I'm going to tell you is made to sound more spooky, but the basics are still there. Okay. What happened? So Chris and Dawn Tinsley were an American couple who wanted to celebrate their anniversary in Japan and to visit the forest. Chris and Dawn were fucking down for Japanese Japan and its culture. That was something they bonded over when they first met. They planned a week of vacation there and 3 days in the countryside right next to Mount Fuji. So after a day of flying, taking a train, and then a taxi to their destination where they were staying, they're exhausted. While on the train, though, Dawn asked Chris if he would want to visit the forest. He had never heard of it, and he was a little creeped out that it was called the Suicide Forest.
I mean, right. Yeah, you are.
I get that.
Yeah, but he went along with it for her. He didn't really put much into it. So after a nap in their inn and all the travel, they wake up in the evening and they take a little walk outside around the block just to kind of see.
Yeah,
get some fresh air.
Yeah, they find a lookout where you can see Mount Fuji and all the pretty nature around it.
I bet that's incredible.
Yeah, you also get a great look at the sea of trees. So Dawn gets a little wild here. He looks over at her while they're looking at this lookout, and she's like hypnotized with a serene, kind of melancholy face. And she's just like staring at the forest. Okay. He jokes, "Snap out of it!" And then,
what does he say? Snap out of it!
He's
Italian! You have to lighten the mood.
You just
to get through this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So, and she looks at him after "snap out of it" and says, "Let's go to the forest right now."
No.
That would be a no thank you, ma'am.
Red flag, ma'am.
Yep. At this point, Chris is exhausted. It's dark and doesn't really want to go there.
She's like, dark. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, like, I don't want to go.
So they had a little fight, but they both ended up back at the inn to have dinner.
Okay.
So at this inn, there's a bath for women and men. It's like a traditional kind of
Japanese bathroom
thing.
situation.
Yeah, like it has like
bathroom situation. It's like it's a traditional bathroom situation.
A sink and a toilet in it.
I'm like, I don't exactly
just your traditional bathroom situation. There's a
like
squatty
futons and there are squatty potties in every goddamn toilet.
I mean, the toilets are squatty potties.
I was saying Japan knows how to do a toilet.
Japan knows how to do a toilet.
It's true.
Oh, God.
It's been a long day. I don't think we've ever recorded 3 whole episodes in a day.
Like
we are just running
yeah.
on fumes. Okay.
Yeah. This is what you get, patrons.
Oh, God.
Okay, so he's like, let's freshen up and meet up for dinner. And he goes and does his business in the bath and heads back to the room.
His business in the bath?
In his traditional bathroom.
Does that mean that he took a traditional poop in a traditional?
That's what I'm assuming.
Okay.
That's probably what it meant.
Or maybe shower or something.
Shit, shower, shave.
Did your moms ever say PTA bath? Pussy, tits, and ass?
Oh my God. Let me tell you something. My mother would never say the word pussy.
My mom used to, when I was a kid and we would go camping and, like we would have a trailer, but like if you, like we were in a river, like if you wanted to shower, you went in the river. We didn't have like the running shower in the trailer. And my mom she just for my whole life called it a PTA bath. And so that's what I always called it, was a PTA bath. Like, as a kid, you go in the river and you take a PTA bath. And it wasn't until I was like 17 years old that I was like, why is it called that?
PTA to Tori means Parent-Teacher Association.
Oh my God. And my mom said pussy, tits, and ass. And I like could never. And I was like, is this information everybody knows? Because that is brilliant.
That is not information. That is not information that Tori knew.
I mean,
no, but I love it.
And just think now, Lindsay's dad will know.
You know what?
Sorry, Dad.
And also shout out to Mom Anita because
I'll ask her where she
got that.
Where the hell did you get PTA?
I don't know, but I tell you what, a lot of questions are being answered in this podcast.
He gets back to the room and Dawn isn't in there. So he assumed she was still bathing and such. So the waitress who worked at the hotel who knew the most English came to the door and gave him a folded up piece of paper. It said, I went there anyway.
What the fuck?
So he's pissed and alarmed and runs. He runs outside to the forest to find her. He like runs the whole way there. He goes into the forest and he still doesn't know that the forest is also this, like, he doesn't know the history of suicide forest
and the fucking vast extent of how thick it is.
So he's running through the forest with the flashlight of his phone as the only light in the dark as fuck death forest.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I'd go in after one of you if it was dark. I'd say we're gonna wait till morning. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Two of us aren't gonna die tonight. Like,
right? Yeah, God, could you imagine, like, if she went in there and then she ended up getting out and he went in after and then he died because he got lost in the forest?
Oh my God.
Sorry, that sounds like a movie.
It does. So with how people used ropes to find a way back if they chose to, he kept using those to try to just find
that's smart. Very Hansel and
But
Gretel.
what he really found were decomposed corpses at the end of these ropes.
Oh my God.
No, don't like that.
As he's running around in random directions, too fucking scared to call her name, I don't blame him, he hears a noise near him and he sees a rope that is attached to a tree that goes farther in. The rope was twisting about and jerking, so he clinged to this rope as his guiding light, is what he said.
I don't like where this is going.
Holding the rope made him feel safer, and he knew she must be at the end of it. So the deeper and deeper he got into the forest, the less bodies he saw, and the rope stopped moving. He then heard voices that felt like they were coming from like all around him in all directions.
Nope.
And they're saying, I thought you loved me. You told me we were meant to be. Wasn't I good enough? How could you do this to me? No. I knew all along. I thought you'd stop.
What the fuck?
So he turns and runs to find her to apologize. And he sees a figure ahead in the darkness. And he thinks it's Dawn. The closer he gets, he realizes
it's not Dawn.
It's never Dawn.
It's never Dawn.
The closer he gets, he realizes that Dawn's not alone. And there's like a little creature with her.
Oh, so it was Dawn.
Oh,
but there's a creature with Dawn.
Shinigami are usually shown as pale white with humanoid features. They have a blade or a knife with them, kind of like the Reaper. He looks closer and he sees that the Shin is holding Dawn's decapitated head. Her body at her feet. Her body at his feet. So she is walking towards Chris, holding the head by the hair. And Chris is like, nope. So he grabs the rope and runs away like he will probably be the next one to die.
I mean, technically, she was at the end of the rope.
He gets out and finds someone to help him get police.
Is this a true story?
Would you just...
Okay, sorry.
Would you just... While he's telling the police what he saw, the waitress is translating, and she looks at him and says, "We never talk about that. We leave it alone."
What?
So they reported her as a suicide, and that's what Chris went along with.
So the Shin killed her, supposedly.
Oh my God!
Because she wanted to.
I just got so many goosebumps.
So,
well, looks like it's another night of nightmares for Tori.
Yeah.
So he kind of assumed after months that he probably saw something and it wasn't real. But one day he's cleaning up around the house and finds a letter behind one of their picture frames. It was a suicide note.
What the fuck?
With the first sentence reading, "I know you're cheating on me."
What the fuck?
Was he cheating?
I think so. But that's how it ends in the book as well. So they also say that like the details geographically are accurate, and the only unconfirmed details of Chris's story is the
actual shin part.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like they made it a little more fictionized, but the basics are, it's all.
I don't like it.
To wrap her up, I have deep depression and anxiety, and I'm finally, after like 10 years of being on the wrong meds, I'm on the right ones with right dose. I try to keep the thought that our feelings aren't truth, but our body feels them as truth, no matter what has happened.
That's a good way of putting that. So will you say that one more time?
I try to keep the thought that our feelings aren't truth, but our body feels them as truth, no matter what has happened.
Right.
So whether you're allowed to show these feelings or not, we still have them. We're human beings, and we don't give ourselves enough credit. That the walk is fucking hard, but we're still putting one foot in front of the other. Right. So like me just being able to sit here and tell you a story is one step away from me probably isolating myself and hiding. So pain and depression and anxiety are the worst kind of muffin mix. Mm-hmm. But by trying at least once a day to take one step forward, you are making progress. Little steps add up. So I love you.
Yes, we love you.
We love you.
You are important to us.
Yes. And if someone hasn't said that to you, please take it as true.
Yeah.
I love you, and you're doing your fucking best, which is more than enough.
You're doing great, sweetie.
We love you.
We do.
Remember who you are and what you represent.
Yeah, remember who you are and what you represent.
And what you represent is someone who is very, very loved.
And worth it. You are worth it.
Yes.
But would you go to the suicide forest? I absolutely would.
I think I would. I don't know if I could go in far.
I wouldn't go in at night, but I would definitely go.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I would go to like leave flowers and honor the dead. Yeah. For all of those people that felt that was their only option. But I would not go there as a tourist attraction to be like, ooh, I went to the suicide forest.
Well, I was thinking too, like, besides the terrible things that happen there, it's a beautiful place. Yes, like, it's incredible.
It's very pretty.
I mean, people tour it because it's a beautiful place. Yeah. Right. You know? And they just happen to know that bodies are part of the beautiful place.
That's true. And like one of the entrances, there's a restaurant.
Wow.
There's like all these vending machines with really cool shit. But they said like a lot of the times the meal that a person has at that restaurant is like their last meal.
Oh my God.
So it's just like, Jesus Christ.
On a flip side, you know, because I am sort of pro assisted suicide, especially for people that have terminal diseases. We do it for, this is my personal, I'm not speaking for these two. We do it for our animals. And sometimes I think for some people, the mental anguish that they are under is equivalent to a terminal disease. So so on one hand, I'm kind of like, well, some of these people, they went out on their own terms in the way that they had decided to go out. Mm-hmm. But the thing is with mental illness versus a terminal disease, like there is help.
Yes.
There is help that you can come back from it.
This is all based on not acknowledging who we are.
Right. And not giving yourself that grace and not feeling not like we're able to talk about our problems and our issues and our mental health. And you know what I mean? The United States, we're more open about it. And I think it's getting better.
Especially after COVID, it became more of a conversation.
Well, yeah, because so many people are struggling with their mental health in this pandemic. But there is still a stigma.
Yes.
And so like we're not like we may be a little bit better, but there's still issues here. And I think there's still like we here in Spokane have seen an astronomical, I feel like, amount of suicides this summer just on the Maple Street Bridge.
To the point where, like, people are talking now about, like, do we need to put netting? And, well, you can't put netting under it because that's a historic bridge and they're not allowed to. And I'm like, if people are dying, I think we can do whatever the fuck we want.
If they want to kill themselves, they will really find a way.
Right. But, so here's the argument, though, that I was witnessing, and kind of how I feel is, like, yes, if people are really driven to commit suicide, yes, they'll find a way. But how many people could be saved by that, getting there and being like, well, shit, I'm not going to be able to do it here. Yeah. Does that moment cause them to stop and think? Because when you watch survivor stories of people who have tried to commit suicide, like 9 out of 10 of them say that their first thought is like, oh, fuck, like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's sometimes the difference between the act being committed or not is that pause.
Yeah.
And so, like, is that going to save everybody? No. But does that mean we don't try?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we don't give them we don't give them a chance.
Right.
And it's so taboo to do in Japan to have feelings.
Right.
So it's in here too.
Yeah.
It's still very has a stigma. Like if you're bipolar, people think like you're it's just like it's not.
Well, that was like today. I was having a hard morning this morning and I was not pleasant, and I got here and Emily said something and I clapped back.
She clapped back pretty intensely.
I did. And then I went into the bathroom and cried. But that is the truth. Like, but I actually, since my dad passed away, like, I don't cry often. And if I do, fuck no, I'm not doing it in front of other people because it feels very raw and very exposed and private.
Vulnerable.
And, Lindsey and I actually, because I don't like the vulnerability. Not good in that realm. But Lindsey and I had actually taken like a, what do you call that? Like a course.
Oh.
When we did. Anyway, so one of the things that we did in the course is, so we were doing a lot of like internal work, and she was like, okay, like emotions are going to come up and you guys are probably going to cry. Mm-hmm. And if you do, please do not like try to comfort the other person.
I forgot I have blocked this out because it fucked me up so much.
Yeah. But I get what she's saying in that, because when we cry, our first instinct is to say, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that I am making you uncomfortable with my show of emotion. It did not feel natural to not want to comfort the person.
Yeah.
It did not feel natural to not be like, oh my God, like, it's okay. I'm here for you. Mm-hmm. Let it out. Mm-hmm. Because she was like, just let the person cry. Like, don't say anything. Don't,
That is like my worst fear, is for you to physically touch me and say like, oh my God, it's going to be okay. Like that, if I was crying and you did that, I think I would have to like leave. Anybody. Anybody. Especially Tori. But I like the idea of someone addressing me crying and like wanting to help makes me so incredibly uncomfortable that I like, you'll probably never see me cry.
Well, and when I was about to cry earlier and she tried to give me a hug and I was like, don't touch me. And I shouldn't have to, but it's uncomfortable for me to show emotion in front of other people. True. Like,
I've been trying to work on that, so I just cry.
Yeah.
I was watching the 7 Good Days trailer and I showed it to Michael and I started crying in the middle of the trailer, and 4 Good Days.
Oh, 4 Good Days. Sorry, that movie is very good.
When I was very sad. I was halfway through the trailer and I just started crying, and my immediate thought, and it was like, I was trying to keep it in, and as soon as it fell, I went into the bathroom for like 5 minutes, and then I came out, and then like 2 weeks ago, I had to be like, I feel like I should tell you when I got up, because my therapist was like, that's something that is like, okay, like if you feel like you're going to start crying,
you need to
let yourself cry and find someone who's safe to do it in front of, and your husband is going to be that.
Well, and I know that you two are safe to do that in front of.
Right.
And
you just got to find your people that are safe to do it.
But I still didn't do it in front of you. I still went into the bathroom.
I think the more and more we do this and bond, the more we'll just become not. Yeah, I mean, I think our the vulnerability will,
there's a lot of things like, one of the things that we've talked about this that I really love about Emily is that she is just like, I don't give a fuck if you like it or not. I'm me, and like you can take it or leave it. I love that about you, but not on the vulnerability level. Like you and I think are very similar in that's like nope, I'm good. I got it. Because I have spent my entire life.
Well, yeah, I've spent my whole life crying in the bathroom at
defense
my work.
mechanism.
Right. Well, and in fact, as I think about it, that's kind of what happened to you this morning when I sort of did my clap back is I have a tendency to like suppress and suppress and suppress. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it just kind of erupts like a volcano where it's just like,
oh yeah.
And then the dragon goes back to sleep.
Well, yeah, sometimes the other night, I have a full-on, like, breakdown scream. I, like, screamed and, like, was just frustrated with myself with all the pain stuff. And it felt wonderful after, but it's still, like...
It's incredibly cathartic.
Yeah, it's hard for Bren because he doesn't know what to do. There's nothing he can do but just be there. So it's just, like, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
But...
And so I think discussions like this are really helpful. And if we had more of this and allowed ourselves to be more vulnerable, then we wouldn't maybe need to go to the suicide forest.
Yeah.
Well, and I also want to say one more thing. I'm just going to throw it out there because I just give no fucks. I was recently told about someone who I used to love very much who thinks that mental health is fake. And I want you to know that if you think that, you can suck my dick. Yeah. Like, honestly, fuck you. Like, I
and if somebody tells you that or tries to make you feel like you talking about your mental health or the feelings that you are having are not real, you tell that person to go fuck themselves and you cut that person out of your life.
My best friend of 10 years told me that I was too much to handle because after my house burned down, I was too emotional and couldn't handle my mental health, so... I'm just going to put this on the internet. Fuck you.
I give a double to that person as well.
You. If someone in your life is not able to handle you at your worst moments, then they do not deserve to handle you at your best.
This is a white woman Instagram moment. Because that is. I do not I do not know if this quote is really attributed to her.
Is it
but it's always attributed to Marilyn Monroe that it's like, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Yeah. That's the tagline for this episode.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a long time.
Oh, it's taking much longer. Same with my fire. Also took. I'm still fucked up from my house fire. And
how could you not be?
Yeah, I know.
Like I don't know that that's something that you ever get over. Our muscles retain muscle memory. We retain those hurts as well.
They live in our body. They do live in our body.
Yeah. Are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
Okay. Remember who you are and what you represent. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, patrons. I love you.
Bye. I just thought I'd show you that my mom sent me this that says, when your spouse is about to yell at you for bringing home a sixth plant this week, so you whip a titty out to distract him.
There you are.
There I am.
There you are.
Oh. What the fuck?
What just happened?
I'm just dropping stuff.
Oh, you scared me. I felt like it was...
Oh, God.
Oh, there she goes.
Oh,
God. Did you get it?
Yeah. Are my boobs out?
The boobs are good. They're in.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. We put out new episodes every single Wednesday, and if you're impatient like me, be sure to become a Patreon where you can get your episodes early each week. For as little as $2 a month, you not only significantly support the production of this podcast, but you'll also get ad-free episodes in addition to them being early. Go to patreon.com/threesacrimepodcast. For pictures, videos, and links related to this episode, be sure to check out our Instagram at threesacrime. And for more information, go to threesacrime.com.